All right, well, welcome into the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. We've reached episode 68, the Will Shields edition. Go Chiefs, Grant.
Let's go, baby.
And we actually wanted to start off. We have a guest. Ethan is back from his darkness retreat. He's a recurring guest. This time he is not playing softball. The last time it was a quick hitter during the trade deadline, but with spring training about halfway over. Midway through spring training, opening day approaching, we figure, you know what? Let's have Brandon Warne back on of Access Twins and talk some Twins baseball before the regular season starts. So, Brandon, welcome on.
Yeah, it was pretty hard to find a softball game tonight. I'm not sure why, but in the meantime, I think you guys can probably hear my dog barking. The second that I went on with you guys, he's like, I got to go outside. I'm like, no, this ain't happening. So he's ticked. But yeah, I'll be here for the full time here. We won't have to leave to go drop bombs.
Okay, there it is. All right. So have you did you get to go down to spring training at all this year? Have you, or do you usually get to go down at all for any of the spring training games down in Florida?
I actually usually observe it from here. I went in 2019, the first year that Rocco Baldelli was running the ship, and that was pretty cool. It was, I'd never been to the CenturyLink complex. I hadn't been even to Florida, other than a trip to Orlando back in like 2006. So I was scoping out kind of an area of Florida that I'd never been around, and it was pretty cool. And then we actually went on one of the road trips while I was there. I rode with the MLB.com reporter and the Pioneer Press reporter down or up, I'm not sure, to Bradenton, the where the Pirates keep all their stuff, their camp, which was a curious area to look around. But no, I haven't been back since, and I hope to get to at some point, but just not on my radar right now.
Oh, gotcha. How close are like all the facilities in Florida as far as the teams go? Are they all within like a couple hours of each other? Are they still, Florida's a fairly big state. Is it somewhere where you can get to on a bus, or are they flying for the most part?
Well, it's actually kind of a point of contention between the Cactus League and the Grapefruit League. The Cactus League, you've got the White Sox and the Cubs and the Angels and all those teams. Those fields are all in fairly close proximity in the metro area of Scottsdale or thereabouts. In Florida, they will go as far as a few hours north of Fort Myers to, I think it's Tiger City for Detroit. But it's a ways north. Like, I think it's Lakeland, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they'll drive as far as 3 hours from some of the southern teams. It's all driving and all that, but there's a reason why you won't see Byron Buxton's debut in Lakeland, Florida, because veterans don't make those trips because they're crappy bus rides. I don't know if you checked the weather, but it was 90 degrees there today. So those two things combined, you're basically taking a minor league bus ride for 3 innings of reps, which might only be one plate appearance and a couple ground balls or a fly ball. Yeah, not a lot of vets want to go on those trips. So the Cactus League has it kind of made, not exactly in the shade, I guess, but it's way easier to get around. That's where Will Ferrell did that publicity stunt thing where he played for like 4 teams in one day.
Oh, okay. Well, in the Cactus League, it's a dry heat, so it's not that bad, is what they say, right?
Well, and actually, kind of fun fact, guys, I've when I was in Florida last summer, was in Bradenton playing a round of golf, and I saw that Pirates facility, that you're talking about, Brandon, and it's just kind of in the middle of a neighborhood. You just happen to look to your left, and it says, "Oh, your southern home of the Pittsburgh Pirates." There's 2 fields, and it's like, oh, we're just right in the middle of town. Okay, this isn't real special at all.
It's pretty unimpressive, honestly.
Oh, it's awful.
The player's lot is just like a cattle path across from the field, and I feel like it was situated in an area where there was like 5 motor parts stores within walking distance. It just felt like an industrial area where you look at yourself and you're like, how are these major league accommodations for a month and a half in the spring? Like, so we go there and we park and we walk across the street, and it didn't even seem any better than like probably a Texas high school stadium. And I think it's Lecom Park is what it's called, and it's so unremarkable that it's amazing guys like Andrew McCutcheon played there and now play there again.
Oh yeah, that's right. He is back with the Pirates.
Yep.
I feel like I know like around Clearwater, I think the Phillies have their spring training, and that also like you barely see it. I remember driving by and it was covered up by like bushes. It looked like it was like abandoned like 20 years ago, where you can just as you drive by, you can barely see the winter home of the Phillies.
Wow.
So that's definitely interesting because you would think the finest facilities of being in the majors, but I guess that's part of the bonding and experience and building that team chemistry. Is that kind of why they keep it that way?
Well, kind of like when the Vikings used to go to training camp and stay in the dorms in Mankato. I mean, you get guys making $15 million, $10 million a year staying in dorms. So I don't know if there's some kind of unity in lesser facilities. Certainly that seems to be the case in minor league baseball, for one. But it also, too, just depends on the team because meanwhile, the Twins, you pull up and it's off the main drag and it's miles of like these tall, beautiful palm trees and parking, and the complex is just A++. But that's also their home base for as far as big league development, their spring instructional leagues and all that stuff, extended spring, are in that area. So that's kind of where they send guys if they need like rehab that's a longer drawn out period. That's their home base. So maybe that's why it's nicer. But I think at the same time, that's true of Bradenton too for Pittsburgh. So honestly, it might just depend team by team because the CenturyLink Park that the Twins are at is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I've seen pictures, and I know what because the Yankees are down there as well, and theirs is right next to where the Bucks play, and that's a really nice area too. So, are the Twins and Yankees, are they competing as far as nicest facilities down there?
It's certainly possible, and that's So George Steinbrenner did a lot of business in Tampa, like that was Yankees South, to the point where it was just kind of a running joke that it was Yankees South. But I also too think maybe JetBlue for the Sox, which is there in Fort Myers, is probably up there too, just because it's they put in the Monster, it's the mini Monster, and they've been working on it recently. But I would say the Twins are in the conversation. It's funny though, the haves and the have-nots are very much separated in this case.
Oh, gotcha. How is spring training going for the Twins this year so far? What's the kind of the word around them as far as is there signs of encouragement for the upcoming season?
Well, I think so. Basically, the biggest thing now is making sure some of these guys are ready for the start of the season. Nick Gordon had an ankle sprain that came up here. I think they were playing Boston the other day. And Jose Miranda's dealing with a shoulder. Obviously, Alex Kirilloff's had medium-ish term wrist issues, maybe even long-term if you really want to go that route. The offense has depth when it's healthy, which seems like a really weird way to state that. Because, if you're healthy, you're obviously going to have your best depth. But the idea that they have like a Kyle Farmer or a Michael Taylor to back up, that's a great thing. But when they get shifted into the starting lineup, as they may due to these injuries or Donovan Solano, that depth goes away very fast. So I think that's my stupid
dog wants to get in on the podcast.
Yeah, he's saying hi.
What's that? I'm so sorry about this.
No.
Get over here. I hope you can cut
Boone
this.
didn't even flinch.
I'm surprised.
Oh, this is just part of the podcast. We just go right through.
Come on.
We're a pro dog podcast, Brandon.
Yeah, I've been there and done that. Sorry, you were talking about offensive depth. Offensive depth. If you start getting pushed into guys like Kyle Farmer playing for you every day, that depth goes away pretty fast. But I think you just have to like how they're situated at this point. Come on.
Okay.
But they're in a good. to get him and calm him down. One second.
Feisty little guy.
All right. All right. Well, Brandon's getting his dog lined up, guys. How are you doing, Ethan? How was your dark? Oh, he's back.
He's back already.
Wow, that was fast.
All right, big baby.
Oh,
there
there
he
he
is.
is.
Hey.
buddy.
What a good-looking boy. It's like, I do not want to be here.
I am sorry.
Ethan, how was your darkness retreat?
It was great.
That's where you were, right? It was
Yeah,
darkness
yeah.
retreat. It actually wasn't North Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you find out in your darkness retreat? Anything good?
Climbing mountains isn't easy. It was a hard reminder.
Yeah. Was it? I bet it was probably up there as far as eating 17 pancakes.
Yeah,
in
you had
one
eat
city.
17 pancakes. That's right.
I did. It was.
And boy,
I don't know if you were paying attention on Twitter, Brandon, but I had took last in my fantasy league this year,
Oh,
so
no.
I had to do the 24 pancake challenge.
Do
I
I
don't know
even
if
want
you've
to
seen
know?
that.
Do I even want to know? Like, it sounds
You have
terrible.
to eat 24 pancakes in 24 hours, and every pancake you eat, you can knock an hour off the time that you stay at wherever you're eating. And it was 17 pancakes in 7 hours, and it was terrible. I don't even want to look at a pancake.
when
That
you
sounds
go in,
terrible.
do you just say, "Hey, I'm going to be here a long time," or how do you do that? Like logistically?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, so I took last in my fantasy football league, and the last place guy has to do this 24 pancake challenge. So I might be here a while. I told him bring them out in threes, and I'll just keep eating until I'm done, and I'll let you know when I need more.
Sounds awful.
It's not fun.
I was
Don't
gonna
take
say,
last in your fantasy
Dude,
football
kind of
league.
I don't know if it was towards the end there, but that video you posted and that TikTok you made, oh boy, you looked rough, dog.
I was rough.
Oh my God, you looked like you were just in a different world.
It was a lot of bread. That episode of the league when Pete after he's gluten intolerant,
Mm-hmm.
and then they go to Andre's wine bar.
Yep.
That's how I felt. I felt like Pete after he ate a bunch of bread.
Well, I feel like
he shouldn't have been.
as soon as it gets in your stomach, it's just going to expand. And
Yep.
you're totally screwed. And I would have liked it if they would have been homemade pancakes and they poured just a little more yeast in there. So when it got to your stomach, you were a hurting unit.
It wouldn't have mattered. I was a hurting unit, yeah. But anyways, back to the Twins.
Oh, jeez.
Since we got Brandon back, I'm guessing you've never had to do a fantasy punishment like that.
Well, I just never lose. No, I'm kidding. That is 100% not true. No, we haven't had anything like that. But honestly, I kind of love it, just because I hate the idea where you're 3-8 and your season's over, and so you just forget to check your lineups, and all of a sudden, those fringe playoff teams get bumped into the playoffs because they're playing somebody who's not trying anymore. So I like the fact that you got to try all season long to avoid the indignity of whatever the punishment is. Is it the same every single year?
So this is the first year we've done this league, and hard to say what's going to happen next year. We talked about maybe doing like a swimsuit calendar.
My.
Yeah.
Nobody wants this.
No.
No, they don't.
But who knows? We'll see. But the most deflating part of this whole thing is like the day before I did, I went over to my parents to eat, and I told them I was doing this, and my mom goes, "Dylan, how does this happen? You have a sports podcast. You know way more about these guys. How do you take last in this league?" And when your mom's roasting you, it's just like, I deserve everything that's coming to me.
Let mom cook, man. She's cooking right here.
I wish I could have just went to her diner and she would have given me like the really small like silver dollar pancakes, and I would have been done with it in like 2 hours.
But no, these were the big, like full Perkins style, huge pancakes.
They were about the size of my face.
That's
Whoa.
a big pancake.
That's a big
So
pancake.
We're into flapjack territory at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like I just had there's so much sugar in it too, where like with the syrup and everything, it's just like.
Well, and
And then at the end, I tried switching to sugar free,
and all of
and
that.
anybody and like
No.
my
all-
parent, like
all
my
the
dad tries to convince me that sugar free syrup tastes just as good and tastes the same
Not
as
a
regular
chance.
syrup, and you're full of shit. That's not true at all.
No
You should have
chance.
just went and bought a big bottle of the real stuff.
Yeah, walk in there with an Aunt Jemima thing yourself.
Good luck finding one.
Yeah,
Oh, I
that's
forgot.
true. Yeah,
They got rid
it's
of
like
that.
pearl mineral or something, but
Yeah, now you're gonna be able to. I can't even say it. They might be worth money, but I can't say that you'd sell them. That seems inappropriate. Oh boy, I'm saying a lot of things.
yeah.
But-
You can say what you want. This is a public forum, Brandon.
Yeah, it's just yeah. I thought it was funny. I didn't even know that it had been taken off the shelves until some manufactured. I think it was Ben Stein was crying about it on a TikTok or a reel or something. Which what a hell of a sentence! Ben Stein is crying on TikTok.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But now we're try to get back on track here
Yes.
with the Twins. So now, is this as far as like Rocco? What's kind of the word with Rocco? Is this kind of a do or die season for him? Is it playoffs or bust, or is he got a little bit of a leash?
I'd say it's a little bit of like, yeah, he's still in a pretty good spot with them because he's their guy. You know, with Paul Molitor, they have one down year and he's gone. And if I recall correctly, the year that got Paul Molitor fired was 78 and 84, which I think is what they were this last year too. So it just goes to show, you know, when you are the guy that was handpicked by this front office or by any front office for that matter, they're going to give those guys longer chances to prove or disprove themselves. It's just like when you make a first round pick on a guy, you're going to give that guy every chance to make it to the big leagues or sports specific, you know, the NFL. That guy is going to be your starting quarterback or starter sooner rather than later. So I think Rocco is he's still in a spot where I think, you know, one more iffy year because the way they're built, they should be pretty solid. Then I think you start wondering is he the guy, or do you start worrying about something in like mid next season where he could already be gone? But I don't think it's imminent. I don't think one more bad year will have him completely gone. But then I think the questions will start popping up a lot more often.
Okay. And then as far as like the Buxton, are they going to have kind of him on a leash as well this year? Are you going to see them kind of let him go play a little bit more freer? There's going to be a little less restrictions on far as his playing time, because I think
Right.
it was like 100 games. Are we gonna see him be out in the field a little bit more this year?
I think the worst kept secret, and maybe they're not even trying to keep it a secret, but you know it's not out there, is that I think they left the DH spot open so Buxton can use that as often as possible. It's not a coincidence they went out and traded for a Gold Glove center fielder behind him. A speedy guy, obviously not the offensive talent, but for Buxton that was a late developing thing too. But Michael Taylor, the fact that they went out and got a guy like that, who he's a solid player. He's not a superstar or anything like that. But the Twins in the past have been more of a bring up Jake Cave, bring up Eddie Rosario, bring up all these younger guys. They very rarely would have utility guys who were veterans. That to me makes more the sense of like, all right, he's probably going to play more than we're expecting. Same thing with Donovan Solano and a lot of these guys. So as far as Buxton is concerned, I think that means he'll probably DH pretty frequently. Maybe he has a run of health, where he's healthy and plays in 20 of 20 games, and they're like, all right, we'll kind of release him back into the wild, so to speak, out in center. But for now, I think the writing is on the wall that they're going to still be semi-cautious while trying to get him out there far more often than not.
Okay. What's your opinion of that as far as that clause in his contract? Because I can see both sides of wanting to keep him healthy, but then the other part of like he's been so fragile. Because even like last year where he got hurt, do you have a strong opinion where, you know, just get the guy out there and play, or do you like the idea of having that clause where he only plays 100 games or so every year?
Well, I think the biggest clause of it is based on MVP voting more than anything. I think the 100 games is just a general like rule of thumb that they want to try to get to. I don't think there's anything in his contract about that. I could be mistaken, but I know there's a sliding scale between MVP votes. You know, if he gets 9th place, he gets an extra $1 million, and then it's $1 million more each rung up the ladder. To me, when I looked at the deal, I just thought it made a lot of sense in that both sides had to give a little bit. Obviously, the Twins don't want to spend $100 million on a guy that's not going to play 100 games a year. But at the same time, if he would have had his peak season this last year, he probably makes double that on the free agent market. So honestly, I kind of like when those things work out that way. You know, we're seeing in the NFL where these quarterbacks are free agents and they're going to get paid a whole bunch of money, even though we have no idea if they're still good. I like the idea that there can be a middle ground where neither side is really getting taken to the cleaners.
Okay. I'll let you two ask some questions here since I've been hogging the mic.
Which side of the Pablo Lopez trade are you on? Are you on the Arise side of the? I feel like that one's been a very, very 50-50 split between like beat writers and stuff on who they think won the deal.
I lean on the Lopez side just because Salas too is a really solid prospect, and I mean,
he's had a good spring so far.
Yeah, and they've got, you know, that Churio is going to be kind of a let's see what happens kind of deal. Which is the same thing Gilberto Celestino was in the trade that brought him over. So you can find nice players there. But as far as headliners, I mean, I love Luis Ariz as a guy, as a player, as you name it. But if you look at that skill set, you know, is it unreasonable to hit 280 1 year instead of 310 or 320? Probably not. If he goes down to 280, he's got doesn't have enough on-base percentage to help you because he makes so much contact. The power's not there, and you just run into a situation where it's so hard for that skill set to age extremely well. Now, you've seen it happen, Rod Carew, Tony Gwynn, whatever, but the odds of being that guy are very slim. So between that and the fact that he's been a little dinged up and he's not a good second baseman. So do you want a guy like that as your DH or first baseman? A lot of teams would say no. So I think there's too many question marks for a player who I absolutely love, that it makes sense to me to go get a starter where risk is inherent as well. You know, you just kind of swap off some of the risk, and at the same time, you get a guy who has the upside of a really nice number 2 starter. So I'm on Lopez. I'm on the Lopez side. Is it bias? Maybe a little, but I really like Pablo Lopez too.
Yeah, well, and it seems like what haunted them last year down the stretch was their pitching. Their offense seemed to be okay. I know Correa was kind of hurt down the stretch, but their offense seemed fine. And I believe Maeda's back this year. Yep. How has he looked in spring training so far?
Well, I think to get to your point there for a second I think the biggest issue with the Twins was who didn't stay healthy. Buxton down, Correa down for a bit, but Dylan Bundy stayed healthy. You know, thank heavens Dylan Bundy stayed healthy enough to lead the team in starts.
Or Pagan.
Right, yeah, Pagan, pristine beacon of health, and it's just like, come on, you know, you get the worst possible deal with your good players. Jorge Polanco misses a big chunk. Max Kepler was basically MIA all season anyway. But as far what was the other angle of this? I'm sorry, I dropped it.
How does Maeda look so far in spring training?
Oh yeah, it sounds as though he's pretty much up to speed. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some limitations of maybe skipping every third start in the rotation. They'll bring in like Varland or Ober. They've got enough guys to make that work. But as far as if he's healthy, he can definitely help this team. And I think people are sleeping on the fact that he'd probably be something like their 5th starter. I mean, their first guy out is Bailey Ober, who has a career ERA of like 3.8, a strikeout per inning. You know, he's a dang good pitcher, and he's on the outside looking in of this rotation. So again, getting Maeda back which I think is going to be the case. There's been just glowing reports of how he's looked. That's going to help the team an awful lot. Maybe he's not second in the Cy Young good like he was back in 2020, but he's still a really good pitcher.
I feel like it's weird we've gotten this far, and yet we haven't even mentioned Correa outside of an injury.
Yeah, what a roller coaster ride. And not only that, but if you think about the serendipity that caused him to be a Twin, maybe not only in the first place, but now this time where, you know, he basically tumbles down the rungs 2 teams to get to the Twins. How much different does this Twins offseason look without Correa? Because if you get Correa, then it makes sense to go out and get Pablo Lopez. It makes sense to, I think they did Gallo first, but at the same time, like, it makes sense to kind of move the budget pawns the way they did. This offseason is borderline disastrous if they don't get Correa, and that took a wing and a prayer to happen. So to me, I want to give them a lot of credit for making it happen, but it's also super easy to see a path where this could have been an absolute debacle, and I don't want to turn a blind eye to that.
Yeah, well, then if Correa doesn't re-sign, their prize signing is Joey Gallo, who I don't think anybody was excited about. But I will say he did play a lot better when he got traded to LA. So hopefully he can play that way for the Twins. What are kind of the expectations for Gallo this year as far as playing?
I mean, as far as skill, if he could hit 240, he'd be a top 5 MVP candidate every year. The problem is he almost never hits over 210, and I think his career average is like 199. But I think, you know, we'll see how the change of the shift matters. You know, we saw the other day where they went with a 2-man outfield and a 5-man swing across where they left field completely wide open. Maybe the effect that we're all expecting of the shift being gone will be minimal at best. But for Gallo, you know, he's got to hold off Alex Kirilloff, and he's got to hold off Trevor Larnach and Matt Wallner. So this is not a spot where they're just going to give him 600 plate appearances no matter what and let him hit $160 with, you know, too many strikeouts. He's going to get pushed for playing time, and so we'll see. Will he make adjustments that allow him to hit a little better? I know there was some talk with David Popkins that he had, you know, reworked something. And if you strike out 200 times a year, obviously you're always going to be tinkering and working on something. So I'm not sure if we can put any stock in that. But again, if he can hit even 220, 230, he is going to be a huge influence in this lineup and on this roster as a defensive player too. He's got a rocket of an arm, pretty capable defensive outfielder. I think people are sleeping on him a little bit, and nothing wrong with that. It means the Twins get him on a 1-year deal to try rebuild his value, and you know, we'll see what happens. But I'm more pro Joey Gallo than I am anti.
Okay.
Do you think the Twins have the best defensive outfield in the MLB now?
Well, I'm trying to think of who would else even be in the discussion, because, you know, we're not in an era, I feel like, of truly great center fielders, and that's kind of your staple in the outfield. You know, I know Buxton's good, Kiermaier's good, and Michael Harris, the new guy in Atlanta, is pretty good. Mm-hmm. But you know, it would be awfully hard to imagine one that's too much better. I'm kind of flipping through my mental Rolodex, and I mean, nobody's coming to mind, especially too since the Twins took Kansas City's best defensive outfielder. Kind of takes you out of the running there. The White Sox are hopeless. You know, it's got to be top 3 for sure, if not top 1 outright, pretty easily.
What do you make of the new shift rules, or like all the new rules? That's like with the pitch clock, outlawing the shift. What's your opinion of all those new rules?
Well, I kind of wonder. So you think about the best teams in recent years, and they employ guys who can kind of play all over. Like, let's say you're facing the Dodgers and they have Chris Taylor in left field. Well, if you're going to swing him in to play that old second base spot in the shift against Joey Gallo, Chris Taylor is going to be comfortable in that spot on the field. So, I mean, do you start playing not necessarily positionless baseball like there's positionless basketball, but I mean, if that happens, what was the point of outlawing, and I say that with air quotes, the shift in the first place if teams are just going to work around it? I don't know. I've been watching a lot of old baseball games on YouTube this off season, and it is striking to see how different the game was without the guy behind second base all the time. But at the same time, too, like, I don't know that ground balls up the middle deserve to be hits every single time either. So I get what they're trying to do here. The pitch clock, to me, my initial reaction is I hate it. But if games can keep moving along in the sense that they're a little more entertaining to the average fan, it probably is going to serve its purpose, and batters will adjust quickly. I'm willing to let that one play out, but my initial thought is I'm still not sure about it. And the bigger bases too, it's like, yeah, maybe it's a couple more steals, but there's always some unintended consequence, like some guy jams his wrist from sliding the old distance as opposed to the new distance, or whatever. I think they tinker too much with this game, and the fact that 2020 allowed them to start tinkering because it was already going to be kind of a short season. I think they've taken a little bit too much. I don't know if carte blanche is the right way to say it. They've taken an inch and turned it into a foot with all these ticky-tack rules, and I'm not sure I like it overall.
Yeah, well, I think definitely the pitch clock to speed up the games. I think that's more for the TV viewer than the person in the stadium, because like watching you can't beat a summer night watching baseball at a ballpark because you don't even notice it. And I guess you've seen a couple of guys get called out for it, and I guess I've kind of compared it to like and you guys in Minnesota high school sports, you guys will learn about it next year, is the implementation of the shot clock. Because when I was playing in high school, we got it my junior year, and like after the first game, they asked us if we noticed it at all, and you don't. I think so. Like once the regular season starts, I think these guys they won't even really notice it as much.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe that's just my opinion, and I don't know if that's similar or if I'm completely off my rocker.
Well, I mean, you get used to that path that you wear after, say you foul a ball off your foot or foul one away, long deep into a plate appearance, and you kind of take a little longer of a walk to reset yourself. Taking that away, how much will that affect hitters? I think is a valid question. And two, when we're watching pitchers throw as hard as ever with maximum effort, I have a friend who's more of a pitching guru than I could ever imagine being, and he says that could be problematic with these guys throwing this hard. There's not as much time for recovery in the meantime. And is 15 seconds of recovery versus 24, 25, 27 on average, is that a big deal? It very well might be. So as with any other change baseball makes, like with instant replay, where if you slid and then lifted your foot off for a split second, that was enough to overturn it. There's always unintended consequences, and I'm not super excited to see what they are, but they're definitely going to happen.
Grant, are you still there?
Yeah, no, I'm still here.
This is like the farthest podcast we've gone along, and you've hardly said anything. So we'll. The floor is yours, man.
Well, I was gonna say everything I was just kind of thinking of in my head. You guys are beating me to the punch. But I guess maybe with the pitch clock and less time in between pitches, Brandon, with these guys throwing so much harder these days, will that almost further along the thing where baseball is going these couple of years, where pitchers aren't going as long, where maybe these relievers come in and they're going to get one guy so they can try to save this arm, so it's in this long season?
Well, and the problem is you can't face one guy anymore because they did the 3-batter minimum too. So, you can get around that by having a guy come in with 2 outs and finishing the inning. There's going to be, again, so many unintended consequences as far as if you're throwing 102 every other pitch, let's say Joan Duran or even a former Twin Brewstar Gratterall, you know how much time you need to recover from that. Even if it's not that you intentionally know, but the fact that you're not hurt in that moment means you know at least enough to keep going. To have that amount of high octane stress on your arm every 15 seconds, I feel like is especially worrisome. But again, I don't know how you test for that. They do it in the minors and they do it in independent leagues and stuff, but the big leagues is just such a different beast. Guys are throwing harder. They're doing so many different things. I hope for the best because pitchers already get hurt too much, but it's hard to be encouraged by this possibly keeping pitchers healthier, if that's what we're talking about.
And then, are they going to possibly look into like electronic strike zones here, or is that something in the minors?
I think the minors are the great, experimental territory or developmental territory for the big leagues, where they I'm trying to remember what league it was. They moved the mound. It was either back or forward. They use these things all experimentally because the baseball is not as important in terms of results as it is in the big leagues. Honestly, I'm not sure what to even say about it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second, and I just was like, "Oh crap!"
Been there a few times. Actually, that's how most of my thoughts go. Is just mid thought, and then it just
boom.
Yeah. Who are some Twins that lesser known guys that we should keep an eye on this year as the season progresses, or as far as rookies or guys that might be called up in the season?
I think the one everybody should be watching for is Edouard Julien. He can really hit, really hit. He's got good plate discipline. I believe he's Canadian by nationality, and so that's why he was eligible to be drafted in the first place. But he's really climbed up the Twins prospect system here the last year or so, and now he's on the 40-man roster. He's one injury away from being in the big leagues, and who knows, maybe that could be Nick Gordon's current injury. So Edouard Julien, biggest issue with him, no real defensive home. It might be first base, might be DH. There's a slim chance it could be second base, but I don't really see it. That's kind of their guy waiting in the wings until someone like Royce Lewis gets healthy. I think everybody expects and knows what to hopefully expect out of Royce Lewis. But Julien is the guy that I'm watching on the potential big leagues side of things, because he's got such a good approach at the plate and pretty good pop and good contact skills.
How is Royce Lewis's rehab coming along? Is he when can we expect him back in a Twins uniform?
Well, they placed him on the 60-day IL. At this point, that's a formality. You can start doing that again when you're back in spring training. So they just did that to make room for, I think it was Dennis Santana, who they claimed off waivers the other day. So with Royce, though, it sounds as though that's procedural. The 60 days are days he would have missed anyhow. It gets you to the beginning of June. I think everybody had kind of always assumed it'd be around mid-season. So honestly, I think everything's on path to be as good as possible. This guy has been kind of snake bitten, though, when you think he missed a year due to COVID, he missed a year due to ACL surgery, and now he's missing it again due to ACL surgery. He's been in the organization for a long time and has not played nearly enough baseball for a man of his age. But I'm eager to see what he's capable of as well. But he's about a half season away, so got to kind of put that one on the back burner.
So does when you say the 60-day IL, does that start like day one of spring training, or does that kick in opening day?
I believe it kicks in opening day as far as the
Okay.
days start accruing, because I think it's service days. But you can use the roster exemption once spring training is started, because a lot of times what will happen is teams will have to bump guys off the list for the off season, even if they're having Tommy John surgery or whatever. And so that's where some of the 40-man crunches come into play. But the only really other guy, too, that the Twins could put on the 60-day is Matt Cantorino, who's dealing with some arm stuff again, which seems like he always is. But then he starts accruing service time if he goes on the 60-day. So I think the Twins might want to avoid that. So any roster moves that come from this point forward are going to be very interesting to monitor.
Okay, I got you.
What's the chances we actually see Brooks Lee play in the majors this year? I know Correa's talked him up a little bit, but he hasn't even played a full year in the minors. He was just drafted last year.
Yeah, I mean, everything that we hear to this point is projection. It's what people who work in the game or near the game see as possible for him. I I think the fact that he was drafted as such an older age prospect playing in college that maybe he'll move up a little faster, but I don't think, not anytime soon. This year I think is still a possibility, but I'm not putting any money down on it. There's just so much depth in this infield. Like you said, he may have some kind of first full season where he needs to adjust a bit and that sort of thing. But no, I don't think it's any sort of shoe-in. I know people are really eager to see him, and I totally get that. But development isn't linear, and who knows, maybe he'll need an adjustment period when he gets to, let's say, Double-A.
Makes sense.
Okay. And then I think got just a couple more questions. We can get you out of here. What would be who's looking to be the Twins' top competitor in the Central this year? Because, like you said, the White Sox are a lost cause. The Guardians are the defending Central champions. Are they going to be in the race again, or can we see a team like the Royals or Tigers make be a surprise team?
Yeah, to me, the Royals and Tigers aren't there quite yet. The White Sox certainly are talented, but everything they seem to do is against their best interest. Signing Mike Clevenger, hiring Tony La Russa in the first place. They have enough talent to win the division if everything goes right. But when has that ever happened for anybody in the Central? Actually, to be fair, for Cleveland, it did most of the season. But at some point, you can't just keep facing Emilio Pagan every day. You're going to actually have to beat some good teams. And with the new schedule, that'll also be the case. I don't know, man. I felt like, and if anybody from Cleveland hears this, they're going to hate me for it. I felt like they got all the breaks all season long. And it was just, it's like that guy in the gym that comes in and just starts chucking up threes. And he can't play, but he makes them no matter what. Like, it was that level of frustrating for me to watch.
I feel attacked.
Yeah, it's like this is a personal attack. I can see that these teams are a lot closer than 14 games in the standings at the end of the season, and yet at the same time, I keep shooting myself in the foot or stepping on all the rakes.
Yeah. So have you done your predictions yet for the division winners yet? Have you predicted those yet? What do you?
No.
Who do you,
if we do that here, you will have the exclusive scoop because I haven't done it yet. Have you guys done yours too?
We have not. No, this is the first baseball we've talked since the World Series, and before that, it was probably when we had you on in the summer. We're mostly football guys.
Okay,
so we try to, but Midwest, we all Twins are our team. So it's fun to talk baseball because it's exciting every year because there's always that hope that seems the Twins have.
Yeah.
And then they, in typical Minnesota fashion, rip your heart out and end up disappointed. But
I mean, it's more fun to be eliminated on July 1st than April 1st, right?
That's true.
Yep.
That is true.
Get a few months out of it.
Tell my girlfriend that she just roasts the Twins all the time.
Rude.
I know.
Yeah.
She doesn't deserve you. I have no idea if that's accurate.
It's not, but it's a podcast. You can say what you want. It's okay.
Just won't get invited back.
Oh yeah, I think we'll bring you back.
Perfect.
So the Astros defending world champions. Who else from the AL is looking to compete this year?
Yeah, I mean, the Angels keep doing things where you're like, they want to win, but they just don't seem like they can.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Seattle is some pretty good competition in that division. Texas wants to be good, but I just don't know if they can be. But I like Houston out there. Seattle probably in that wild card mix again. I really do prefer Minnesota in the Central. I think that's to me that's smart money because I think people are way overrating Cleveland. And then out east, all 5 of those teams think they have a chance. I would say, really realistically, I would either go with Toronto or New York. I want to see Toronto break through, though. I want to see someone other than Boston or the Yankees dominate that division for 1 year. Not because I hate the Yankees, because I do, but because I just want to see something different. I'm so sick of seeing the same story every single year out there.
they might have the most talent just in general. Toronto, that is, and like the entire league. Like at some point, like you said, they have to put it together.
Well, and it's a lot of their offensive talent is guys who they don't have to pay yet, and that allowed them to go get pitching, like giving the big contract to Barrios and signing Kevin Gossman. They had Robbie Ray before that. They've made a lot of moves. Hyunjin Ryu, who's now injured, which of course is what happens to pitchers. That balance has allowed them to address different parts of the team in a way where you look at it and you're like, yeah, that should work. That should be able to go toe to toe with the Yankees. And I mean, the Yankees faded last year. Otherwise, they kind of blew everyone out of the water. I'm curious to see what a closer race looks like if Toronto's hanging in there late, because they're just such a fun team. I love young teams like that who can pitch with vets. It's such a fun team to watch.
And then who do you keep an eye on in the National League?
Well, obviously the Dodgers are going to steal the headlines for just being good. San Diego wishes they were the Dodgers, and now with the talent they have, they could be. But it's also one of those, I don't remember if it's even or odd years where the Giants just kind of come out of nowhere and are good too.
It's even years.
Even year.
It's even years.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, perfect timing, right?
Yeah.
League has been put on notice. Yeah. For me, it's the Dodgers out there. But the NL is kind of funny in that I like Atlanta. The Mets obviously are going to spend and try to spend more with Correa. And let's not forget, even though the Phillies only won 87 games, they were right in the mix at the end of the year to win the World Series. Mm-hmm. So, when you try to handicap it, it's like you got all these powerhouses, and then it's the 87 win team that makes it to the World Series, which I love about this game. But my number one, and it's only because you're the champ until someone knocks you off, it's the Dodgers. I think the Padres are as talented as the Dodgers. I just don't know if they quite get it like the Dodgers do. So yeah, until someone takes the belt from the Dodgers, though, I can't sleep on them.
Okay. Well, the Mets are also a cursed team, depending on who you ask. And when I say depending on who you ask, it's Frank the Tank, because which I don't think he realizes that his team's played in a World Series in the last 10 years. The Twins haven't even won a playoff game in the last 10 years. But
I saw a Facebook video of him, and he was talking about the Twins being cursed. I don't know if they're one of the most cursed teams or not, but he knows about the Twins, even if he wants to pretend that they're not that important. What a funny guy, though. What a absolute hilarious character.
My favorite part about him is how he just absolutely dogs on his teams. And then the second there's somebody like another team that's struggling, how he just thinks it's hysterical, laughing at them.
Yeah, and I say character. I think it's all real. This is just a guy who loves his teams. This is not a bit. This is not a character, because you couldn't dream up Frank in any writer's room or anything like that. It's a very unique character to anybody who's not aware.
He's like a real life Matt Foley almost.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, there's that's a comparison that I really like.
But all right, you guys got anything else?
I got one more. To stop all these teams like the Mets and Dodgers from spending literally every cent their owner has, do you think they will ever at least put like maybe a soft salary cap in baseball?
I think that's what they think the luxury tax is right now. But the biggest thing with that is your thresholds go up, and so every year that you are above that line, you get taxed at a higher rate. So that's why teams like the Red Sox had to reset their tax, which is hilarious. You'd rather reset your tax than keep Mookie Betts.
Right.
Mind blowing. But I don't know if Tony Clark came out the other day, and if fans of a certain age are listening, he used to be first baseman for the Tigers, but now he's the rep for the Players. He recently came out and said they unequivocally will not accept a salary cap. So I think your better shot is a salary floor. But I think right now they view that luxury tax as a soft cap. And soft caps are interesting. Obviously, the one in the NBA gets used to the most effective or most in the sense where basically every team is at that level, if not over. But honestly, I don't think we'll ever see a hard cap, and I think they already view what they have as a soft cap. Is that right? Is that wrong? If an 85-87 win team wins the NL pennant again next year or this year, maybe we'll question it all. Who knows?
It's true.
Yeah.
And then Brendan, just one last question here. Let's say you're on a road trip. Twins are on a. What's the best city in the major leagues? You throw in the stadium, food, city life, music, activity to do. 3-game road trip. What's the best city in the MLB?
Does cost factor into it too? Like staying somewhere or food?
You know what? In the hypothetical world we're in, no.
Then it's probably got to be San Diego, I would say. Just the beautiful weather, great. They have. I have a friend who lives out in California. He just raves about the beer out there. Not really for me as much, but it's part of the culture. It's part of the experience. San Diego would have to be it. But if you're talking about places that I've been and really, really liked that I could afford, Kansas City is a great choice. Drivable from here. If you want to fly, you can. I've done it one way, each way, and both trips were great. The food is out of this world. Obviously, probably going to skew towards meat eaters like myself, but just a wonderful, and it's a fun city. The Power and Light District and a bunch of cool stuff. But it doesn't feel too big. Like it doesn't feel too big for itself. The stadium is very intimate. It's very close to the highway, so you can tailgate. They got huge parking lots. Like Kansas City's got a lot of things that will check that proverbial list for what makes a good baseball city. I would love to go to Kansas City any summer to watch ball there because it's beautiful.
Well, because I was in Kaufman in the summer of 2012, and it's fantastic. It's probably my second favorite stadium in the bigs that I've been to. New Busch, special about that. But I tell you, the state of Missouri, they just do baseball right.
They really do, and I don't know if it's just something in the water, something in the air, but I haven't been to a Cardinals game yet in the New Busch, but I swear that that fan base is phenomenal. Just ask them, but that fan base is phenomenal, and I hear the game day atmosphere is just incredible.
Well, yeah, when we were in St. Louis, it was 97 degrees at first pitch, middle of summer, hottest part in America.
Yeah.
Playing the Dodgers on a Thursday night, not an empty seat in the house. People were passing out. Ambulances were coming left and right, taking people away, but you could not get those Cardinals fans out of that stadium. And 2 hours before the game, the plaza is packed. They're trying to rush that stadium to get in like it's a playoff game in the middle of July.
Yeah. It's like it's unlike anything you've experienced. Like the first time I went to a playoff game when the Twins played and won after I had moved down to the Twin Cities, it was 2004, and I'd been to a bunch of games, and it's like, oh yeah, it's kind of busy around the game time, whatever. And then the playoffs, it's just a whole nother beast. And then you realize that there's some teams whose regular season games are like that, and it just it has to be an incredible experience.
For sure, yeah. I've been to Petco Park. It is a beautiful stadium, cool area. It's right by the gas lamp district. And then what? You said Kansas City. What's your favorite barbecue joint down there?
For me, it was Joe's, the one in the gas station. But I mean, you're not going to go wrong. I'm trying to think of who else we even tried. There was
Q39.
Q39. I wanted to say it was 39, but I wasn't sure. That was perfectly great. We went to one other one. It was me, Dan Hayes, and then a few of the Royals writers, and we had food and drinks.
Jack
But
Stack?
that might have been it. That was the third one we did. They were all great. They were all great, but Joe's to me taught me a lifetime about Kansas City barbecue sauce because it's runnier, but it's more like it'll punch you in the mouth. I never knew that existed, and now I can't wait to try it again. So Joe's has a special place in my heart because it introduced me to that, besides the fact that the food was just absolutely fantastic.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, Brandon, thank you for spending an hour with us. Appreciate that. That was a fun conversation. We're gonna have to do it again sometime. Hopefully, with happier times mid-season. The Twins are about 10 games. Got a 10-game lead on whoever in the Central, and it's the trade deadline. They're going to be looking to be spenders and looking to acquire that piece that's going to get them over the hump.
Yep. And hopefully I won't be playing softball, so I can give you guys my full and undivided attention, and hopefully not my dog's. He is sorry. He's laying here pouting, so he's sorry.
We accept all right. Good boys
we
here.
We forgive him, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great boy.
So. All righty. Well, thank you, Brandon.
Thanks, guys. Be
See
good.
you later, Brandon.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, that was a fun interview. We got some good Twins talk here. He's gonna. Hopefully, we do have some. Mirror positivity here, so positive vibes only for the Twins. So guys, now that it's just us three here, how are we doing? How are things?
Good. We survived Boone's attack on Thursday before we flew out. Told you guys
His
about
attack.
That. Oh, you tried to blow our apartment up, but it's
fine.
That's
right. You told us about that with the where he.
Turned the gas on the stove, and it was a good fiasco.
Natural gas disaster.
Yeah, it's fine. No one died. It didn't blow up. We're fine.
There you go.
But no, vacation was good. Hiked the mountain, got to golf a little bit. Ate at it's just like a giant food factory. Like it's kind of like a state fair, but like better. It's like real restaurants that are like you can go to any of them you want, all in one spot. Got a smoked cocktail that was. I don't think there's anything but alcohol in it. I felt drunk off of 3/4 of it, and it was a good time.
Got your money's worth then.
I did.
And Ethan, I think I've told you this before you guys went, but Charlotte, man, is a underrated city.
Oh, absolutely.
It is slept on.
The only thing that pissed me off is kind of our fault too. We paid like $20 each to go to some botanical garden, which is supposed to be one of the best like there is. But we also went in February where nothing's growing in February. Like I didn't think that through.
Yeah, you gotta going in June or whenever you're running.
But that's not even what pissed me off. What pissed me off, they have like this beautiful like fountain, and like it has like the whole stream with the river going through it and all this stuff, and all the trees on the side of it. Every single one of them was fake. Fake leaves with fake lights in them.
Oh, what the heck!
And a planetarium.
It can't.
And you paid for that too, and you got ripped off.
I paid to see fake trees.
You really got to go full white guy there and go and demand your money back. And
I was not
sue.
happy.
Well, he's not over the age of 50.
Oh, that's true.
He can't.
I wasn't. It was just a disaster.
But hey, if that's the worst part, besides the awful driving in that city,
but
it could be worse.
Oh my! Don't even get me started.
Yeah,
Dylan, the interstate system there is literally just the stupidest thing in the world.
It's an absolute fucking joke to put it like the North Carolina Department.
They have one interstate that is a giant circle around the fucking city.
The North Carolina
sounds terrible
of transportation must have only went to high school.
Oh yeah,
or they went to Duke University where they should have been studying medicine or something, and they think they're smarter than us, but it's awful. So
it's a living hellhole.
Do not drive in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's a good.
I would love to live there, but my God, I might walk everywhere.
Yeah, that sounds like your best bet.
Or I'm gonna buy
just don't get hit by a car because you did say they're bad drivers, so you
Someone
can't rule
actually
that out either.
Killed when I was there. So.
Call me crazy. They might be worse than Florida drivers.
Oh, no shit. I don't think it's a question.
I'm dead serious. I mean, at least in Florida, everybody knows they're going fast. And people know that there's no disrespect, so you're always watching your left and right to see where someone's coming from. In North Carolina, some people are going like bats out of hell, and then you got your grandfathers going slow in the middle. It's just it's not good.
You'll have to ask Hannah how a semi trucker almost literally killed us.
Huh. Sounds wild.
And I
it was quite
I
a ride.
I was almost ready to fight someone when I picked him up the other night because there was the 4 lanes of traffic were all backed up, and I couldn't get over to the curb. So I said, "Screw it, I'm going to put my flashers on." And then I see him coming. I'm like, "Hey, come here, let's do this." And then some asshole behind me is honking, trying to get me out of the way, and I'm like, "I can't pick these people up, dude. There's no MSP police here."
No, the one time they're not
Yes.
pushing people through, like so stupid. Dylan, it was.
Was this at the
staggering.
airport?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Like literally
God.
for almost 5 minutes, not a single car moved, and there's 2 police officers just hands in their pockets, just.
Duh.
Oh, who gives a shit? Like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Huh.
It was awful. Never seen
Sound-
MSP like that in my life.
Sounds awful. Don't have those issues at any airport in North Dakota.
Don't even
So
get me
we got that
started
going
on
for us.
Charlotte Airport, too. That's another just.
That airport's a hole.
Is it?
To put this into perspective, they literally are redoing the whole thing, and then on
Oh,
top
that's
of
a
that, like,
disaster then.
oh, it's just hell on earth. But we were like waiting to go through security, which they have 5 security checkpoints. Only 3 were open, 2 for TSA pre-check, 1 for regular, and it just
You
happened
have
to be the
TSA pre?
international one too. So
Do you
that's
have TSA pre?
I don't have TSA pre.
No. Oh.
But that's besides the point. They're like literally like going through like a giant mud pile outside the check gate or the security check, like outside working. And this dude comes out there, and there's trucks constantly going in and out. He grabs a goddamn shovel and starts getting the dirt off the goddamn sidewalk or the street, as if there's not going to be another truck that's going to pull out of there in 10 seconds. And he probably spent 10 minutes doing this. I'm like, who is paying this man to do this? Like, it was ridiculous.
Speaking of airports, Brandon mentioned you can fly to Kansas City, which is real quick. That airport used to be an absolute shithole. They just opened up a brand new one down there.
Oh, did they?
Wow.
They did,
That-
and
that's
I've heard it's beautiful.
Okay. Huh. Good to know.
So if you ever fly into Kansas City now, folks, you're going to a brand new airport about a week ago.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Good to know.
Okay.
I know
Also,
my-
just let people know, NDSU is about ready to kick the living shit out of SDSU right now.
Yeah,
So
let's go. Let's go. That game was crazy last night. Did not sleep because I was so amped up for it.
yeah, we were both. Me and Dylan were live texting per usual.
Yeah. And it was not a foul. That was about as good
Oh, absolutely
as good a
not.
defense. I mean,
Absolutely
you
not.
watch it. I mean, yeah, there was contact, but I mean, they both
He hit the ball
jumped
first.
straight up. They jumped straight up and they came straight down. It was a clean play. Apparently, the South Dakota head coach, he chased the refs into the tunnel. He was so mad about it.
Jesus. Is that he was the old player number 22 from when we were in college, right?
No, he was
He looks
coaching while we
just
were in
like
college,
him.
though.
He
I don't
what?
remember. I don't remember like any of the South Dakota players because they were like dog shit when we were in college. So I don't really remember a lot of those guys because they beat them by 20 every time.
Oh no, they were good. South Dakota was good with this kid.
Okay.
Him and Mooney were together.
Oh, okay. So that was like right at the end of our college then.
Yeah, like very, very end.
Oh,
Okay.
so
And that was when Craig Smith was the head coach there.
Yes. That was when
Okay,
Craig was
yeah.
still there.
Okay, because I think he came like my second year of college. Because I know my first year they were terrible, and I think I want to say they beat NDSU in Vermilion twice, but NDSU got them both times in. They got them both times in Fargo because I want to say the only time they lost in my time at NDSU was against Southern Miss at the BSA.
That was a good game.
That was well. They were down and then they came back and had a shot, and that was
Yeah, that was like the half court shot right at the buzzer.
yep. I missed the BSA. That was I haven't been to the new shack
It's nice.
yet.
Really nice.
And it looks really nice, but
Mhm.
they really screwed the pooch there where
The
they
seats.
don't have the student section right behind the opposing team's bench like they did at the BSA where you could just shit talk the opponents.
Mhm.
But
also they totally screwed the seats up too. So they're supposed to be like they're like 3/4 of the size of what they were supposed to be, but they fucked it up.
So they're
Okay,
small?
yeah.
They're super small seats. Yes.
Ooh, so if there's any big people, and there's plenty of big people in Fargo, they're not going to have a good time.
No, it's not ideal. No.
No, but we'll
They're just trying to get more total seats in the arena.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and
no, they
hopefully at some point we start seeing more fans because they were one of my favorite teams. They were going to those games were like one of my favorite memories of college because we didn't. I don't think we missed a single one.
I don't. Yeah, I went to everyone, especially at Shields. I mean, I worked
Yep.
a lot of them too. But no, I liked basketball games way more than football.
Yeah, I would actually agree. Mainly because we actually got to be students and we got to act like idiots and cheer. And
There's
we
a
were
guy hosting
sitting in the
officials
student
jumping in
section.
the corner of the end zone after a touchdown.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
With your 40-inch vertical there on that video.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
the
at
mad
least a
high. I should have been a
22
high
inch.
jumper.
Oh, there he is.
Who? Boone?
Booner.
Boone?
Right there on the bottom left of my screen. Yeah, we got a dog. That's a dog right there.
He made a quick appearance when Brandon was on.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought we might get
I have a
stare down.
biscuit. Hannah decided to make biscuits, so he wants some of his biscuits.
Oh.
So I'm going to be a good dog, Dad.
Oh, what a girl.
Give said biscuit. There we
Aw.
go. Good boy.
What a girl. Hannah made you biscuits. What a girl.
I know. She's very kind.
How nice of her. Hey, Ethan, I have a question for you.
It's her.
Have you gotten Hannah that card yet?
It's a sensitive topic.
Oh, sorry.
She's laughing.
Oh,
All
It's
right.
okay.
woo!
So guys, Grant, did you get to finish Full Swing?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. So I suppose we'll wait to review that at some point then.
Yeah, I'm through the third. I only got to the third episode, but last week, when I was just kind of hanging out watching, some basketball on Friday and Saturday, and then last night, really gotten into Mayor of Kingstown.
Gotcha.
That has consumed me. It's was it Taylor Sheridan? Is that the guy, the writer, producer, Yellowstone, Tulsa King? He did something with Sons of Anarchy. Man, whatever he puts his hands on, it's good TV.
It is, yeah. So far, so good.
And Jeremy Renner, when it comes to dark, dark action, there's almost no one better than him.
And he had that really bad accident around Christmas time. It sounds like he's doing okay though, so that's good to see.
Yeah,
He's alive at least.
I'm on the last episode here, season 1, and he's appeared in every episode so far in season 2. I don't know.
Yeah, it happened after they were done shooting.
Okay, so we'll at least get through the full second season until he got in that accident, unfortunately.
Okay, gotcha.
Nice start for the
Yeah.
Bison.
Nice start, attaboy Bowden.
11-6.
So basketball, it looks like Grant's team is going to be the only team that's going to be making the tournament because Michigan shot the bed both times this week.
10 seed, baby.
I did see the guy that does the bracketology for CBS yesterday had Michigan as one of his last 4 in, but
Hey, the Gophers
convinced
won a
he's
game
trolling.
this week, so
they did.
they did. That was great.
Suck it.
Positive.
Rutgers.
And that was a heck of a game too. A nice little game winner. Give them a little bit of some positivity in what's been a rough year.
Almost beat Wisconsin. Probably should have, but
Yeah.
it's go. Worst free throw shooting team in the entire country, of course, goes 11-19, and they lose. They missed the front end of a 1-1, and that's why they lose. So,
But also when you're playing essentially all high school seniors,
literally, yeah,
you're not going to be that good, especially in a conference like the Big Ten where there's so many adults.
yeah.
Where-
I'm pretty sure they're the only team, the only Power 5 team or Power 6, I guess you can call them, with the Big East, that has 3 freshmen playing 20+ minutes. So,
Yeah, because the Big Ten is a league full of guys who are in their third,
man,
fourth, and fifth year. I mean, they're adults.
yes.
And especially with the COVID year too, where you're going to get a couple of 6-year guys and possibly,
Mhm.
well, the Gophers next year will have a guy that'll be in his 7th year of college, Parker Fox, if he comes back.
Yeah, he sounds like he's gonna play. So
Well, and even speaking of that, that one Indiana star player, they're talking about he has the most rebounds in school history, the most blocks, and the third most points. Well, yeah, he's padding his stats on that extra COVID year.
that Race Thompson?
Yeah, yes.
Trace Jackson.
It's one of the two. You know,
They're both like pretty old now.
They're pretty old. They got those hyphenated last names, and they've been around forever. So, but that's just what the Big Ten is. It's a bunch of adults.
Yeah. And it's going to stay that way too for at least the next 2 years because there's still going to be some COVID eligibility guys, and now NDSU's got a couple too that could be, and we talked about it last week with Grant Nelson, but it sounds like Bowden Skunberg will be at NDSU for the next 2 years. And hopefully Grant Nelson is for at least another year, because that team is going to be stacked next year. Even if Grant doesn't come back, I still think they're going to be a really good team, really fun to watch.
Grant, I'm telling you, there's a true freshman for NDSU this year, like legit Lawrence vibes, point guard.
Lawrence Taylor, Vinny Shahid vibes. He won him the game last night.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was an assassin down the stretch last night.
That's some high praise for a freshman.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was looking good.
And that's part of the reason why NDSU struggled so much early on in the year, is just so many young guys, and they finally seem to figure it out, and just got to find, like I said, their best 120 minutes together. They probably played it was probably about a 28 minutes, I would say, last night. They did go 7.5 minutes without a basket or without a field goal, but they were in the bonus, so they were able to get to the line at least. But
you know who else feels like they've been he almost feels like the Summit League Brad Davison, Aarons from South. He's been there forever.
Yeah, I know.
34.
And South Dakota State always gets those guys.
Of course he's going to be 34 too, and he's a white, like 6'4"-ish guy. Of course he's 34.
But I suppose so. Ethan, well, and next week we'll do our when we record, we'll do our preview since it's Selection Sunday.
Oh my gosh, what a move! Damn.
Since it's Selection Sunday, we'll do our brackets, do our bracketology get you ready for the NCAA tournament. But before we wrap up this episode, since we'll kick it over to Ethan for Curveball of the Week.
So we've all traveled recently, and this is a pretty hot topic. I can't remember. I heard actually someone talking about it the other day. I cannot remember for the life of me who it was. Oh, it was the Pair and a Spare podcast with Ryan Burns, Chip Scoggins, and Justin Gard. Honestly, if you haven't listened to it, it's phenomenal. Half the time they just talk about their kids or snowblowers.
I have a snowblower story for you guys.
Go.
So we have one at our warehouse, and it was just going to sit there. We weren't going to use it at all because we've got a company that comes and moves all our snow. So boss was like, yeah, if you want to take it, go ahead. So pick it up on Saturday after the pancakes and go and try to get it started. Doesn't want to spark. Think it's old gas, and that's my dilemma. Is I have a snowblower in my garage now that you guys were giving me shit for not having a snowblower. I have one now,
but it doesn't start.
It doesn't want to start. Yeah.
Ooh,
that doesn't help.
Does not.
But
anyways, go ahead.
Point. It's probably got some old gas in there.
That's what it is. We got to figure out how to get the gas out.
Siphon it.
No, not. There's easier ways.
But no, we were. My favorite quote so far from that podcast is they were talking about their kids, and Justin Gard goes, it's a lot like science. You just evolve over time as a parent. Like you don't really have any clue what the hell you're doing right away, but then it's like science. You just figure it out as you go. And Justin Gard has really good quotes. Like he's a fantastic human.
Okay.
He hates Lakeville as much as we do, Grant.
I love that man. I love that man. I can't stand anything to do with the city of Lakeville.
No, absolutely not. It's basically Madison East or West, I guess, technically.
Yeah, which is just not good.
But back to this. When do you guys typically get to an airport to feel like that's when you usually get there, I guess, before your flight? How often? How early?
Ooh, this is a hot topic.
So this one has changed for me. I used to be like the guy that has to get there 2 hours early. and you just sit there because you never know. But now I have TSA pre, so that really speeds up the process. If I'm traveling with my family, my mom, we got to get there like 2.5 to 3 hours early. And why? To just sit there, pretty much. But for me, I would say now, and depending on where I'm flying out of, like if I fly out of Minneapolis, yeah, I'd probably get there a little earlier, hour and a half to 2 hours before, because you never know. There's more people there. It's a bigger airport.
Yeah,
More
buddy.
walking. But with TSA pre, I don't really have to get there earlier. But
No.
usually, Grant, when you drop me off, it's more so just a traffic thing because you don't know what the traffic's going to be like, and you don't want to risk missing your flight.
Yeah, and so I got what makes TSA pre so great?
You don't take your shoes off.
You don't take your shoes off. You don't have to take your stuff. You're like 3.5 ounces out of a bag. You can just go, and you don't. You skip all the lines. Like you go down a certain spot. And
well, yeah, because you always see the line, like it's TSA pre is to the right, and then general boarding is to the left, and they're just walking right through, and I'm like, what the hell makes this thing so great?
But if you really want to get fancy, get clear.
I don't even know what that is.
They use your eyesight to get you through. I don't even think you have to check that. You just literally scan your eyes, and then you're good.
Japers.
Yeah, it's pretty intense.
That almost seems kind of weird, though, where they have a chip in your body somehow and they can track you.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Okay. But yeah, I would probably say if I'm going to the Bismarck airport, I can go there like an hour 15, hour and a half is probably the latest. Is probably hour 15. Bigger airports, it's probably about and yeah, I guess I've already said with the bigger airports, but. Yeah. If I'm by myself, I can get through pretty quick because I usually don't have to check a bag or anything like that. And when we went to Arizona, my dad and I, the line actually to check bags was long. We got there about an hour and a half before, and we still got through pretty quick. It was probably 45 minutes, so enough to where you were able to get a drink. What's that?
Through Bismarck or Fargo?
Bismarck.
Took 45 minutes at Bismarck?
Yeah, it was almost outside. The people just to check bags. If I'm not checking a bag, realistically, I could probably get there 45 minutes before and I'd be fine.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
But anyways, what say you guys?
I'm kind of like what you said, Dylan. Always and we lost Dylan. It's just, hey, shit.
I'm back.
Yep. I'm always hours. 2 hours.
Whoa.
Oh, you're 2 hours?
Yeah. I just comfortable. I get there. I don't have long line. Need time. Right. And then I would down in stairs before right as people eight, and I don't have 20 people standing. And if you want to get bathroom, get some. I'm always a 2 hour.
Okay. Now when you fly out of the Minneapolis airport, what place are you hitting up where you're going to eat or get those couple of beers?
Wow. I'm just going.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm not here. I'm not going to. Oh, because you guys know that's. I'll get a breakfast. Starbucks. Ooh, there's a cute oven. Flying at night.
You always got to go with the Chick-fil-A too. I know you're not a big Chick-fil-A guy, but that's a place I always try to hit up unless it's a Sunday.
I can't do it.
Or that Twins bar is pretty good.
Twins bar is where you go.
That was when that's where I went and hung out when I was having to wait for you guys, and I ended up having 2 or 3 beers while I was there because you're like, oh yeah, well it's gonna be a while. It's like, oh, all right, drink one. And then guy comes around. Well, you want a second one? Yeah, I suppose. Third one, and then third one, you call me, and it's like, oh boy, that's probably a good thing, or I would have been struggling to get through walk through the airport if you wouldn't have called any sooner or later.
I'm right with Grant. I'm a 2 hour guy. Get you plenty of time if you need to check your bag, get your security, because we're not fancy. We don't do TSA. But then you go to the Twins bar, you have a whiskey coke, obviously, and you have plenty of time to get to your gate.
Okay. So, all right. So you two are 2 hours. I'm hour and a half to 2 hours. But all right. So, guys, do we have a prediction before we wrap up here? What's your prediction for the for who wins the Big Ten tournament?
I'm saying Indiana.
Indiana, okay.
That's literally what I was going to say. I think they're going to get hot.
All right, you two both think Indiana. Well, it's going to take a long shot for Michigan to get in, and they're going to need to win the Big Ten tournament to have a shot to get into the Big Dance, and I don't think it's going to happen. So, you know what? I'm going to go with I'll say, since you guys went Indiana, I'll say Purdue.
Safe pick.
Yep, safe pick. I would go Iowa, but then I remembered it's March.
Well, they won.
They did. And I don't think Tom Izzo wants to win the Big Ten tournament, because I think if they do that, I think they lose, their expectations get too high, and then they'll dip out in the second round. So I think he's hoping they maybe win a game and then they lose to whoever. And Illinois, I just can't pick Illinois because there's just no good qualities about that program.
Oh, and Brad. Brick.
Yeah, exactly. So not gonna go with him. But so 2 Indianas and a Purdue. You have it. That's our predictions. We'll be back next week to recap it. So thank you guys for listening. Go check us out on all of our social media platforms. Facebook, the Three Guys Talking Ball podcast. You can also subscribe there on YouTube, where we'll have the full video version and the segments that'll be out on Friday. Check us out on our TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at 3GTV Podcast, where we'll be posting other content and the show. That's all we got, guys. Puts a bow on this episode 68, and we'll talk to you next week.